This is a brief video to show you how to get started with CAPE. If you're starting up from scratch, what you'll want to do is create a new workgroup. Now, a workgroup is this set of files and folders that CAPE stores its data in. So I'm just going to hit create new workgroup. It's going to ask where I'd like to put it. I'll just put it on the desktop, and I'm just going to call this demo workgroup. And I'll hit save. Once I hit OK, it's going to create the workgroup and then to open it up. And over on the left-hand side, we have the Workgroup Explorer, which allows you to see the data that you have in your workgroup. So we've got time series data here, I9 models, information for generating flows, networks, and so forth. Now let me just show you where that workgroup is. So I'm going to go to the desktop. And so CAPE created a file. It's called demo workgroup.cpe, and it's also created a subfolder with that same name. And it's the this folder that really has most of the data. So we can see we've got folders here: time series, networks, I9 models, flow generation, and a folder called data corral. Now, all of these folders except the data corral are folders that CAPE is going to be using for managing its internal data. But the data corral folder is a folder that you can use to store your own data, data that you may want to import into CAPE. So use this as a convenient place to store your working data. One good thing about using this folder is when you reference data within CAPE, like for example, maybe you have some shape files that CAPE is using to define a sewer network. If you put them in the data corral folder, CAPE will save the path to those shape files using a relative path instead of an absolute path. And the good thing about that is it will allow you to make your workgroup more transferable. So if you want to move your workgroup from, let's say, a local drive to a network drive and then maybe even back again, all the files are going to move in a nice tidy package, and when you open CAPE up, it'll know where all the files are because everything's referenced by a relative path. If you're storing some of your data outside of your CAPE workgroup, like maybe on your local drive, and you move that file or you move your workgroup, CAPE is going to have trouble finding that file because the path is no longer going to be valid. So that's just a tip on storing your data internally within CAPE in that data corral folder. So you can also close your workgroup by just going to File, Close Workgroup, and you can also exit just by going to Exit. So I'm going to close the workgroup. Now that I've opened a workgroup previously, I'm going to have a link to that now in my main page that opens up when CAPE appears. And so I can click that to reopen it, or I can go to the Open Existing Workgroup and open it this way. And if I do that, I'm going to navigate to the CP file and open that. As you open up things, so when you're in the Workgroup Explorer and you begin creating new items, you can right mouse click on those items and tabs will pop up on the right hand side so that you can view them. And that concludes this demo.